Hi. Right, let's go to Ben in Sheffield. Ben, what do you want to say? Good morning.
Good morning, Nicky. I'll try and keep it brief. Essentially, the Iranians are a bit like... there's a bit of an echo on the line, by the way.
Oh, it's probably... Have you got your radio on?
I have, but I just turned it off.
Oh, well...
Let me close it down.
Close it down. Close it down.
Sorry.
We'll send the radio inspectors round. Never mind the atomic inspectors. Carry on.
All right. There is still an echo, and it isn't the radio, I'm afraid, so I don't know what's causing it.
All right, we'll sort it out. We'll sort it out our end, see what's going on. We'll come back to you, because I know you've got some important points to make. Andy in Huddersfield. Go on, Andy.
Hi. I am a bit amazed at what Douglas Murray's been saying, because it's a complete denial of any sort of categorical imperative towards the sort of nuclear situation in the Middle East. I have to agree with what Mehdi's been saying, because it seems that the only rational way out of this is to make the Middle East a nuclear weapons-free zone, and that's been opposed tooth and nail by both Israel and America, because it would require Israel both submitting to nuclear inspection and giving up its nuclear weapons. I think Douglas Murray made a very good argument for why Iran would want nuclear weapons. And if I would summarise, I think I summarise this correctly. He said, Israel has built nuclear weapons and therefore it hasn't been attacked. Why, given that situation, would Iran and other countries in the region not want to build nuclear weapons? It seems absurd that you would...
Could I pick up on that?
Yes, please, yeah.
Right, let me explain. You've just got to know a bit of history. If you go back to the very beginning of the State of Israel in 1948, it was invaded by all of its neighbors. It had a genocidal war waged against it, which fortunately was not successful. The same thing happened successively.
What do you mean by genocidal war, Douglas?
It was an attempt to, literally, as the Arab armies said at the time, push the Jews back into the sea. The same thing happened in the 50s, the same thing happened in 1967, the same thing was attempted in 1973. The reason why Israel has managed to prevent such mass land-led invasions, mass full-on, all-out war in the years since is because Israel's neighbors have realized that they would continue to lose such conflicts, and what's more, they would be facing a power in the future with the ultimate weapon. Now, that being the case, Israel has managed, not perfectly, but managed to avoid such large-scale wars with its neighbors. Israel has at no point said or desired or expressed the desire, any democratically elected leader of Israel has never said that they would like to use their nuclear weapons. They have never said that they would like to wipe out another country in the region. They have never said that sufferings suffered by their neighbors historically did not happen, but they would like them to happen in the future.
Okay.
There is good reason for Israel, in particular, I would suggest, in the region, to feel, as it were, a degree of paranoia.
We'll come to Afshin in a second. You make that point strongly. Robert in Humberside, you disagree?
All right, I certainly do. I think we always listen to Douglas, and Douglas always has his thoughts, and one has to understand them if you don't respect them. And I, too, am having problems with a bad line, Nicky, too.
Oh, dear, we're having terrible problems.
No, I can hear you, but after that, I don't hear a thing.
All right, well, make your point quickly.
Well, how can you make a point if you can't... Well, my basic thing is, Iran, I see they're not a problem at all. They are not the aggressors. The aggressors, as far as I'm concerned, are the Western world. And I believe this business with Israel, they did not say that they wanted to wipe the Jews away. They were saying about the Zionists. The Zionists and the Jews are totally two different elements.
Oh, you're joking.
I'm not joking at all, Derek Murray. I'm not talking
Douglas
at all.
Murray.
And in fact, they didn't... I think you have to... look at history about things beforehand.
Okay, let's go to Afshin. Listen, you made that point. Despite the technical difficulties... Despite the technical difficulties, you made that point very well, and we're going to pick up on it. Afshin Ratansi, this business about wiping Israel off the map, some people say it was a idiomatic, mistranslation. What did he mean, and have others in the regime who have said similar things. What do they mean?
On that particular case, I think one shouldn't be judging individuals, as has been said before. It is issues. And I should also say that, given our earlier discussion, I'm not a representative of Press TV. I'm independent of it. I make a show which is broadcast on it, doublestandardstv.com. It isn't broadcast here because there isn't proper freedom of the press or freedom of television anymore in Britain. The Israel case, what really frightens me at the moment is the prospect of not only a third intifada, but also the fact that President Obama, who sent General Dempsey, the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff head, and I think just last night we had Tom Donilon, the NSA advisor, national security advisor, desperately, presumably, trying to stop this rogue nuclear, almost proxy militia of the United States, the Zionist government there, preventing them, trying to them, begging them not to make an attack. I mean, on a humorous note, I'm not sure it is humorous, Madonna is playing there, and they said, Israeli fans of hers said, please bomb Iran after the gig. That is the kind of level of rogue stateness we have in Israel at the moment. And it's about time that Britain stops supporting the Arab dictators, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, all these countries, and stop supporting this rogue nuclear state in the region.
Could I just pick up on that, Nicky? I mean, it requires somebody to have no sense of irony to present a program called Double Standard on Iranian national paid television. But let me just give an example of what a double standard would be. It would be pretending that the heads of a country, say Iran, didn't say the things they did, and that such things, even when they were said, were not emblematic, symptomatic, or in any way interesting. But taking some Madonna fans in Tel Aviv as symptomatic spokespeople for an entire democratic country, Israel. How can you explain a double standard like that?
I really wasn't. I'm not only referring to them. Of course, we know Israel's terrorism for its killing in Dubai of people on fake British passports, the assassinations in Iran recently, and of course the bombing of Lebanon in 2006. And I heard you say earlier Hezbollah and Hamas. Hamas were elected in Gaza.
Okay, wait, Afshin.
From Israel's onslaught.
Afshin, has Iran been responsible for any terrorism?
No.
Iran has supported liberation movements fighting against this rogue nuclear state in the Middle East.
There you go. There you have everything you need. The spokesperson of the paid
I'm not a
wing
spokesperson. I'm just
saying
Iranian what
government.
Millions of people in the region believe. Not even
TV.
Just the region.
Okay, wait. Okay, Douglas, let's see Douglas's thoughts, and then I think we can go to Ben. Go on, Douglas.
Right. Ofcom last month decided Press TV rightly can't broadcast in this country. It's not because of freedom of the press. It's because the channel which you work for, among other things, ran interviews of a forced confession put under pressure in prison of a journalist in Iran.
Mazia Bahari.
Sort of propaganda you're involved in. So don't come on here and start passing Tel Aviv Madonna fans' comments as serious analysis. As for your comment, your risible comment, if anyone here didn't know who pays the piper here, as for your risible comment that Iran has never been involved in terrorism, what do you call Hezbollah and what it's doing in the Lebanon? What do you call Hamas and what it is doing to the Palestinian peoples? What Hamas are doing to Fatah officials when Fatah officials were killed by the Hamas, funded by the same people who fund Press TV, the Iranian government.
Together.
And now you try to pretend that the Iranian government, which has carried out terrorist attacks as far afield as South America in the 1990s, has never been involved in terrorism. You've got to be having a laugh. It's a shame I can't see you because you can't possibly have a straight face.
Henry Scoop Jackson would feel frightened at the moment because the whole of Latin America, the vast array of the non-aligned movement, they all support Iran along with China and Russia.
Well, Jack Straw, the former Foreign Secretary, made the point on this programme earlier on in a very, I thought, balanced, generally balanced view that China and Russia are getting pretty twitchy about Iran at the moment, according to Jack Straw. Ben's back. Ben in Sheffield.
Hi, Nicky.
Have we sorted you out? Carry on.
I think we can hear each other now. The only thing I would say is
Are you about to go to the news? Because I might take a couple of minutes.
Well, as quick, we are running slightly late, but if you can be as brief as you can, but keep it content rich. Go on.
I will indeed. Absolutely. What we're talking about here is a translation and communication problem, and people who don't culturally get each other. So everybody's shouting at each other on this phone-in because they don't understand each other's value. I know this because I've been involved in Iran for nearly 40 years. I've also worked in the translation industry, and I'm in the communication industry. So I know about poor communication, and that's what's going on here. Do you want me to expand on that?
Well, that was beautifully said. But if you've got anything more, I can give you another. How about we're bargaining here? I'll give you another minute.
Right.
Go on.
Well, that's interesting you mentioned bargaining. And, Nicky, you know about translation because you studied Russian. So the main thing is people here culturally don't get each other. And the bargaining element is Iranians are the greatest negotiators in the world. They're really tough to do business with, believe me. They've made me very grey, and my father managed to survive it for 25 years. So I know what I'm talking about. So for me, the current president, I'm struggling to get the name out.
Ahmadinejad.
Yeah, very good. The current president is a very tough negotiator, and he's trying to get what he wants for his independent people. He's just not as cuddly as Khatami, but essentially Iranians are like the Irish of the Middle East. They're different, they're innovators, they make a difference to the world. And not everybody gets them. But just because you don't get different people, just because you don't get mavericks, doesn't mean that they haven't got value in the world.
Listen, you said that beautifully. And Afshin Ratansi, you talk about freedom of the press and so forth. Would we be able to have this phone in Tehran?
Yes.
Well, I'm not sure. I have to say that censorship is wrong in any country, and that country is under siege. Look, there's a way to end all of this nuclear threat of World War III overnight. And Mehdi alluded to it. It is face-to-face negotiations with the President of the United States, the President of Iran. Sanctions should be stopped immediately, and people should start talking. And your last caller alluded to that. We would need a good translator, obviously, but it's about talking and not this constant brinkmanship, using the media, using spokespeople to constantly make the stakes higher, obviously.
Well, if President Ahmadinejad goes to the UN and says the Holocaust didn't really happen, you can understand, is that using the media? Is that raising the stakes, or is that, do you have sympathy with his view?
One only negotiates with perceived enemies, and what we don't want to see is another war like Iraq happening in the Middle East. This one would be worse, and every man, woman or child in Britain would be affected.
Why?
This is not a joke at the moment, and, well, it would be affected because, yet again, British interests would be seen to be opposed to the interests of an entire... it's not even a nation, really, is it? It is like certain superpowers are at war with the entire developing world.
Okay.
And talking will be the way out of this, not this ridiculous idea of isolating each other one from another.
Afshin
That is not
Ratansi,
going to work.
thank you. Thank you, Douglas. It's at 9:35. Sorry we're late. A few technicals on the way through, but good contributions from our listeners on both sides of the debate and in the middle. Ben in Sheffield, Robert in Humberside, Kadir, and all others who've thus far come on the radio. Here's Simon with the weather.
Yeah, there might be a lot of cloud and outbreaks of rain for western areas of the UK today, Nicky, but actually it's very mild out there.
It's 5 Live Breakfast. Your call.
How much of a threat to the world is Iran and to the region? Ali's in London, Jonathan's in Manchester, Neil's in Great Yarmouth, Kazim is in Bolton. Hello, Kazim. Hello, Neil.
Hello.
Hello, Jonathan. Hello, Ali. Neil, you go first. Hello, Neil. Good morning.
Good morning, Nicky. How are you?
Very well.
Basically, I'd like to say, yes, Iran. I don't say Iran is a danger, but Mahmoud, after dinner speech, as I like to refer to him, is a grave danger. We look upon him as a figure of ridicule and a figure of fun. Nevertheless, he's very dangerous. He's unhinged. He's unbalanced. He doesn't live in the real world. In this country, we prosecute people for inciting racial hatred. I mean, it's comparable, Iran having nuclear weapons, as giving tanks and machine guns to the patients at Broadmoor and saying, knock yourself out for the day. It is absolutely frightening, and what I find more abhorrent than anything is, even listening to some of your mediocre comments from the previous people, what is it about about the Jewish people. Just because they have a certain part of their anatomy missing and believe in a different God, why is everybody always on their backs? They have the right to exist.